Tokozani. My name is Gogo Kenosi, and I've been instructed by the powers that be that I do this video, and share this video for the purpose of um, of how we're going to approach the content in this video. I just want to say to someone, take it as an opinion. Take it as an opinion. Don't take it as gospel. I'm not the preacher of gospel. I am the liver and experience of the gospel. So I'm not one to come and preach about the gospel. I'm a teacher by my calling, and my calling is has simply just taken me to a space where I just need to teach about the system, the system, as it pertains to our natural healing, as it pertains to us healing of ourselves as humanity, and us healing of each other as living entities of life, and equally of us healing back Mother Nature, right? So my calling is simplified in those terms, so I don't want to complicate it. I'm given my apologies. I'm one of those people that just do things and whatever because I'm talking to myself essentially. So I have to distract myself quite a bit. So this video, what I'm gonna call this video, right? What I'm gonna call this video is, I wanna call it the ANC shall rule until the second coming of Christ, myth or prophecy. The ANC shall rule until the coming of Christ, myth or prophecy, right? The reason that I wanna call it the ANC shall rule, because it's a statement that's widely known, and it caused a bit of from all of us, and people all and sundry. Not me. I was so not bothered by it. I really was not bothered by it. The part that bothered me at the time, it was not the second coming of Christ part of the statement. For me, it was the ANC shall rule. The ANC shall rule. From that moment henceforth, a friend of mine put on Facebook the other day that what was the moment for you that defined or redefined or changed your relationship with the ANC? There's always been a lot of things, right? There's always been a lot of things that I was quite uncomfortable with, but obviously even in my discomfort, I was one of those people that is very practical about life, and to say that we are a new government, and we are going to make mistakes, and we are constantly going to having to fix those mistakes. So I had learned very young on not to be hard on myself as a person, and also as a person who carries the identity of that government, and also is the supporter of that very government, right? So I was actively wanting to change things, but also very kind to say that we are inheritance of a very dysfunctional system. It'll take us time for us to get it to a place of function. But when that statement was said, the ANC shall rule, that statement, the ANC shall rule, for me, I'm one person who's always been very pedantic about words and the character of the words, and because I've been in PR for a very long time, so I'm a wordsmith, right? I'm the person that wants us to communicate. I'm a communicator, right? By training and by birth and by whatever it is I call Istunya Sam. Istunya Sam has decided to be a teacher. So Nike Muruti wa Bukrest, I inherited the Bible. I inherited it. And I also inherited Intlola, right? Intlola is bone reading. I don't know what people call it. Bone reading. So for the purpose of the international world, I am a traditional archaeologist. But that statement, going back to that statement, the ANC shall rule, for me, it was the tipping point for me, because everyone was too focused on the Christ coming back and not the ANC shall rule. Because I'm like, that statement is an indication for me that there is a mental disorder in government. When you say the ANC shall rule, who are you ruling? Who are you ruling? I'm listening to the music. I'm going past. Nature just giving me the soundtrack for this video, it's giving me the soundtrack for this video. Who on earth are you ruling? Who are you ruling? When you say the ANC shall rule, who are you ruling? The constitution of this country, the constitution birthed by the very ANC that says they shall rule, right? The constitution says the ANC or any government needs to serve the people. Is the constitution of Batu Pili. The people shall govern. Batu Pili, the people shall govern. That, for me, was the tipping point. That was the tipping point. It was the tipping point. It was, for me, it was like, no. We got a problem here. We got a problem because there's an identity crisis. There is an identity crisis here. The identity crisis is that the servants of the Constitution do not know that they are servants. They think that they are rulers. That, for me, was it was a linguistic, it was a psychological problem, and I started viewing ANC in those with that lens. And I have to admit, I'm gonna put this very forward. I'm a very biased person, so my biasness is going to play itself in this video. So I do not apologize for it. It is what it is. I am who I am. Right. When a government that is elected to serve says it shall rule, for me, I have a problem with that. I start looking at it and I start judging and I start looking at faults and I start picking out things and saying, I'm being ruled here. I'm being ruled. There is lack of service here because I'm being ruled. I want to stop having a relationship with that statement, but I personally have stopped having a relationship with that statement that I am ruled. I've stopped. I've recalled myself from active duty. Togoza, hello, baby. Letty, where? Oh, okay, cool stuff. Oh, that's my little sister. Just come from school. Hello. Oh, okay. Right. I have recalled myself from active duty. I have recalled myself from active duty. And these are the kinds of things that make me recall myself from active duty in a relationship with the government of the time. When I became a Sangoma, my orientation has always been, and my speciality or my calling has always been to help people with mental health. And I do so only by training them with meditation, right? A system that is scientifically, it has been proven over and over and over, the world over, experts from here to Timbuktu, from Harvard to Oxford, you mentioned them, degrees from here, more degrees than a thermometer, have all been recommending meditation as a way that we can actually help people heal. It is not something that I'm coming here and I'm starting afresh. It is something that is research has proven it, right? When I came back and now the system of meditation has taken form, as me being a teacher of the meditation, going to institutions of service. I'm from hospitals where I went and I said, can we introduce meditation in the hospital? There's facility, there's places that are not being used, right? Bricks and mortar places where we can hold meditation classes for patients while they're in hospital, right? Because in healing the body, we cannot neglect healing the mind. That's a fundamental reality that we know. To not know this is in my case insanity, and you need to catch up. No, it's we are now in 2022, right? We need to be catching up with ourselves, right? And I said, please, let's just do it. We can pilot it on a voluntary basis. You don't. I mean, we can, you know, take all the legal requirements and whatever else that you need to relieve yourself of liability. If you're not sure about it, can we just come and do it within the hospitals? Because the thing for me is this: is that meditation is a simple practice that can help a lot of people maintain a healthy system and maintain a well balanced mind and gravitate away from a lot of mental disorders that we are having, depression, anxieties, and all of those things, right? And can be taught, and we want to teach people, but the people that we need to teach, right, in our communities here are not online, right? Most of my clients are online. They are not online, and they don't have the facilities that we have. I mean, even here, I live in Tabanche. The reason why I'm now recording this video, because I was going to do it live, is because my connection also is easily interrupted here. So it's always not so reliable for me to use online to help people in meditation, whoever is interested. And I was like, here, it's something that we can do to bring people to a hospital, and they can learn meditation, and we can teach them the simple science and art of maintaining a healthy body, right? I've been positioning it very simply as teaching people primary health care, because meditation and ubungoma, it's primary health care. That's why I think God has given me the simplest job, to teach people primary health care, right? Because that's what it is. Like, let's teach people primary health care. Let's reduce the demand for your secondary health care, which is having to now, people now are sick and whatever. Because I have practiced it. Personally, I've really not been into hospitals because I'm sick for 5 years, and much longer than that, except on occasions for this, tooth extraction and those kind of things, right? Because I've just been able to just maintain a very healthy system, right? Now it's something that I'm like, let's teach people so that they can maintain it, so that only they use the demand for the medical system only when it's absolutely necessary, so that we can reduce the demand. Because also, it is problematic for the very professional healthcare who are working in our public health institutions. It is problematic because there's too many of us, and we are coming with complex problems, complex health problems, and we want help now, and the resources are not there. And then there's this, and then there's that, and then there's that. Right, and now that's where the conflict exists, and it happens between society, communities, and their service providers, right? Public health or public service providers, is because now there's too many of us wanting attention when we need help, and the thing about nurses, right, is that nurses give care, like they give care, like they that's part of the healing system of nursing. The healing system of nursing is not to just medicate and go, is to attend to someone, to care, because you are away from your family, you are away from human interaction, you are away from the feeling of the emotions of love, so that your system is able to recuperate and heal, right? Your time with the loved ones is limited, because you need to break to heal. The nurses are there for that. In private hospitals, that's what the nurses do. When I was hospitalized, even in the last 5 years, when I say I haven't been seeing a doctor, one incident was only a surgical procedure that I needed to do, an extraction. Um, 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 and it was an infection that had built over for many years now. It had gotten to a point where it just needed to be removed. And my doctor was just there for the surgery, and then he was just there to do his round. But the nurses were there to care for me. Whenever I asked, they were there. Even when I went out and I wanted to breathe, and they were there to help me do that. They had time. They could. There was a few of them in that ward to care for patients in that ward, and they could do that beautifully, right? And it's something that is lacking in our public health systems, which is something that is important for the wellness and the healing of the individual, right? And the one way I thought was to let's reduce the demand, so that they have lesser people to care for, because that's what's important, so that we don't get to go and get sick and on stupid things, right? Like step wounds, accidents, because and all of those things, because all of those things are really just symptomatic of a mental disorder, violence, and all of those things. Those are incidental symptoms of mental disorder, right? And those are the things that needs the individual to start healing themselves. And that's the system that I was saying to these institutions. Let's do this. Let's try it this way. Let's stretch ourselves a little bit, so that we are able to be more efficient with providing healthcare service. Right? Now, no. There is absolutely no urgency to serve the people of this land. There's no urgency to serve the people of this land, because if there's an urgency to serve people of this land, oh my God, let me tell you, right? I build it's funny. Before I started my career, I once said to God that, you know what, I will do my company, right? I will start my company at the end of my career. Let me do this career at the end of my career, when I am a marketing director of a company. Then I will go in, and I will listen. I will start listening. So it was like one of those kind of weird sort of conversations and prayers that one has. And that, for me, the funniest thing about my career, and the reason why I'm bringing this up here, is that I did not have papers. I was not qualified in terms of having a degree or diploma for what I was doing. I was in PR. I was in marketing communications. Let me just put it broadly like that. I was in marketing communications, right? I did not have a degree to do that, right? The only way I built that career and I was out of it by age 30 was because I got things done, and I went and I solved problems. I never had problems. I solved problems. And I came up with solutions to problems. And I know I'm using this simplistically, but for me, that has been the crux of how I wake up every day and I justify getting out of bed. I justify getting out of bed saying that I am going to solve problems. If I'm not going to solve problems, then why am I getting out of bed? I might as well just chill and relax. I might as well just chill and relax. But if there's no appetite to solving the problems, everyday problems of our community, and our job every day is to simply talk about them, is to simply say, we are creating awareness that there's a problem, and you are spending millions and millions and millions of rands. I know I've been a recipient of those millions of rands as a salary holder for agencies that were creating awareness that there's a problem, right? But then there is no appetite to solving the problem. Then for me that's a problem. That's simplistically, there's a misalignment. There's a misalignment. In marketing terms, we call it, there's a okay, value proposition. The value proposition and what is delivered, it's one, right? And precisely, and I'm mentioning this also because it is something, as we are going into the next elections, it is something that we're going to have to be very conscious about. I think it is something, the reason I'm doing this video, and as a way of concluding, right? I think it's something that we are going to have to be absolutely conscious of when we go and vote. There are lots of decisions that we're going to have to make. Very, very tough decisions that we're going to have to make. And the biggest decision is, and the biggest decision is going to have to start with us. Because as much as we are blaming ANC for the problems of this government, right? We are the problems of this government. We are this government. This government is not Cyril Ramaphosa. This government is us here at local government who have to deliver services at whatever cost, at whatever imagination or innovative ways that we can. Our job is to solve problems here. Our job is to govern. We are the government. We are the government because we are the ones that are living in these very communities and societies where the problems exist. We are the ones that wake up every day and go to work and earn a living and saying we are solving problems, right? We need to ask ourselves of our involvement in solving those problems, because if we have been giving half measures, we cannot blame a government that has been giving half measures. I see us on social media talking about, we are working now. Of course we are working, because now we are looking at the service delivery and we are like, yeah, it's at this level of delivery. It's at this level, like, ukdelelwa is now so obvious that we cannot hide it anymore. Like, there's not even some good PR. Like, there's no there's no even good PR. Like people are sleeping on the job. Someone is sleeping on the job, right? We need to ask ourselves, what is our level of involvement with solving this country's problems every single day in our different fields, in however way we are gifted, and we need to now ask ourselves how we have been interacting with each other in solving those problems. Because for me, it is resource wise, I cannot do it. I cannot now be going and changing institutional policy so that we can introduce meditation in hospitals. I don't have the means. I am one person. All I want to do, I just want to go there and help people heal their mind, and I have the ability to do that, right? I have the ability to do that. I just want to speak to someone. If we try it and it doesn't work, we try it and it doesn't work. But that's all that my means of solving problems is limited to this body. It's limited to this Eve, right? And I can only stretch it so much. Now, when I want to be part of solving problems here in our society, in our community, because it's this community that brought me back here. My calling brought me back home. It said come home. It said come home. It's Tunywa-san, it said come home. Now I was fine in Joburg. I was living my life. I was fabulous. I was fabulous. It said come home, come solve problems at home. Right? And I'm like, I'm here, let's solve problems. And there's no appetite to solving problems. That for me to want to solve problems, I have to climb mountains and 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 mountains. We as society, we as the government, we need to check ourselves. We need to check ourselves. We need to check ourselves. We have 5 days to check ourselves and equally to make decision and vote. Well, you're voting, I'm not voting. Oh no, I decided I want to work with any government. I'm putting this up because I want you to see this, that we are governors. We are governors, and we need to have an appetite for solving problems. We have been solving problems. We have been solving problems. We have been solving problems, guys. The ANC Freedom Charter says the land shall be shared equally amongst those that work it. Amongst those that work it. We need to ask ourselves, who are the ones that have been working this land? Which bodies have been working this land? I don't think there's ambiguity in that statement. There's no ambiguity in that statement. I don't think there's insanity in drafting that statement. The ancestors that wrote that statement, they wrote it with the precision of a sniper, that it birthed its own constitution that works as similar as that statement that says the land shall be shared equally amongst those that work it, not amongst those that have title deeds. No. Because that Freedom Charter knew that the title deed owner of the land is the constitution of the land. It is not one person or one generation or one group of people or the other or this one or that one or that one or that one. No. No. There's a problem there with the ANC that we are seeing now on social media, and the one that we are experiencing here in our communities is that ANC is ruling that one. That one, it is not working from that statement that says the land shall be shared equally amongst those that work it. There's another fundamental issue that we have missed with that statement of those that are working the land. I think Thabo Mbeki explained it simply in his speech when he says, I am an African, I owe my being to the hills and to the valleys. You guys know it. You can go to Google, check it out. But in that speech, Thabo Mbeki, I love the way that he appraises animals as the core habitants of this land and having the equal right to exist and flourish in this very land, this land of our forefathers, that they too are our forefathers. That's why he says, I owe my beings to them, the animals, the rivers, the valleys, right? Very important, that speech, because that speech brings us to understanding what our constitution says when it says Batubile. Guys, we have a fundamental problem here. We have a very, very big problem on ourselves. It's a global problem, but it's one that it needs every nation to take decisive actions to solving it. We have a water problem, and the problem of water is very simple in my books, right? We have water that is stuck in pipes that needs to be in the land. We have water that is stuck in pipes that needs to be in the land. And therefore, we have removed water out of natural circulation of Mother Nature. And that's why the land is dry. That's why the land is dry. That's why Sigula. That's why the land is dry. That's why Sigula. That's why Silamba. That's why we are hungry. That's why we are sick. That's why there are tornadoes. That's why there are natural disasters is because we have removed water out of natural circulation. The second coming of Christ, right? If you read the book of Acts, right, it says the second coming of Christ was when he came riding on a cloud, and that's rain. The second coming of Christ is the creation of rain. And we cannot create rain if we have captured the very thing that needs to go back into nature's circulation and create rain. The rivers are running dry. And something tells me, let charity begin at home, right? We have also joined in. We have joined society in its insanity, in its assault of Mother Nature. And I say this because I am part of that problem. I have been part of that problem for a very long time. We have all been part of this very long time. The one thing that we need to fundamentally understand here, right? Say, is non-existent without nature. It's non-existent without nature's full function, efficient, and glorified operation. It's non-existent. This, hauna mayeza, hauna nix, hauna peku. This, hauna peku. There's no healing without nature, because the only thing that can heal the body, right, is nature. And right now, nature is crying for us to change that artificial system, because that artificial system is hurting nature. It is hurting nature. I mentioned this very problem because there is no way that all of us collectively are going to solve the problems, because we are co-creating the problems. Now we are throwing rubbish all over the streets, all over in the rivers and whatever, because we have been divorced from it. We have been dissociated from it, right? Because it's a title deed system. There is something or someone that owns it, right? That's why dispossession of land as a function of title deeds or just ownership is an important thing for us, because we cannot solve what we don't own. We cannot solve what we don't own. The importance of land expropriation, with or without compensation, that's neither here nor there for me. It's a technical thing that people need to solve. But let's say without compensation is to return the title deed of this land, right, to the constitution of this land, so that all of us that are working it can start solving the problems. Because right now, we are imprisoned, because we are the very people that are working the land, but we are not sharing equally in the land, because we are the people, right? We are the people, right, that are dissociated from the very thing that we are, nature. The reason I have absconded, I think I'm even going to stay away from these elections and not participate. For me, is that I'm not going to participate until that mandate is delivered. I am not going to participate in voting for anyone in the Parliament of South Africa, because that's where the holdup is. Anyone who is in the Parliament of South Africa is not getting my vote, will not get my vote, until they have passed that little law, or whatever you call it, policy, that brings the constitution, gives the constitution of this country the title deed of this land, so that from our understanding and our interaction with that constitution, we can start restoring this land to its glory. We can start restoring the land to its glory. I am not going to perpetuate insanity by voting for anyone who cannot deliver that mandate. Because to deliver that mandate requires a political party that is able to unite the government. A political party that cannot unite the government, for me, is not a political party that's going to achieve its goals. It's going to serve a few and not serve everyone. It is going to rule and not serve. I think I'm going to end it here. That's my message for today. Thokozani, Thokozani, Thokozani. And I thank my friend Gogo Kenosi for Kanyisela this video so that I can share this message that the ones that have come before me asked me to pass on. I hope I was clear. Right? I hope I was very clear. This is not a blame game video. This is an accountability video. We all need to account. We all need to check ourselves so that we can make the other account for their part. Thokozani, Thokozani, Thokozani. I thank you and love.